Welcome, welcome. So like I said, I'm Nick Anisich. I'm the Farm to School Program Manager at the California Department of Food and Agriculture. And I'm really excited to be hosting you all for this call today to kick off the food drive, help kind of give us a tour of where things are, how to participate, how to join, and a little bit on how your donation is going to make a big difference for Californians in need. So thank you all so much for sharing. We're going to jump in and get started now. So first thing I want to highlight is that we have the dates for our food drive are November 7th to Friday, January 6th. So during this holiday season, so of course, a great focus on giving and including the food banks and our California neighbors as part of that giving. So thank you all so much for joining today. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves in the chat. Really excited to hear more from you today. All right, next slide, please, Rachel. Hi, Becky, thank you so much. All right, so from CDFA, we're really excited to be hosting the food drive this year. We're also very grateful to have our CDFA Secretary, Karen Ross, on the call today. So Secretary Ross, I know you're here. Somebody told me in the chat, you're here now. Hi. And now I can see you. Your video is spotlighted. So welcome, Secretary Ross. Thank you so much for joining us today to help kick off the food drive.
Yeah, so thank you, Nick. I love your enthusiasm. If you're not fired up already, you soon will be, because Nick is the one to do that. But I really wanted to have the chance to say thank you to each and every one of you. It means a lot to us here at the Department of Food and Agriculture all these decades later to still be the host for the annual state employee food drive. You would think because we have food in our name, we do have a special connection, and we do. I think all of us here have this passion of it's not only the growing of the food, it's the ability to make sure that every Californian has access to good, healthy, nutritious food, and that we can be a part of sharing food and bringing people to the table. So we're thankful to you and your agency for helping us this year. Hopefully we can make it one of the best food drives ever. You know, throughout the year, we have for over 15 years enjoyed a strong partnership with the California Association of Food Banks on a farm to family program. We know that because of weather or markets, whatever's growing in the field sometimes is much more than we can put into a marketplace. And we've established this partnership of farm to family so that the food banks have made it very simple for them to be able at any point to say, hey, I've got excess watermelon or potatoes or cabbage or whatever it might be. Can you take this? And the food banks have a fabulous, efficient way of being able to take that product and get it into food banks throughout the state. And when we have access to putting into the Feeding America network. And so it's something that we enjoy doing. This past year, it was over 160 million pounds of fresh produce. And whenever you can be with the clients of any of our food banks and see the joy on their faces to have fresh produce, or whatever the products might be, it's really cool when we know about the importance of nutrition, not just calories, for everyone that uses it. I wanted to say that, you know, during COVID, it was very evident. We saw lines and lines and lines of people, many who had been volunteers in a food bank, that all of a sudden needed food. They needed those food boxes, and it was heartbreaking to see that. But it was also heartwarming to see all the innovative ways that the food banks were able to figure out how to run these mass distribution lines. Many of them happened at our fairgrounds up and down the state of California. And while those pictures are not in front of us as much, food inflation itself is really exacerbating the need for food. It always breaks my heart because some of our most vulnerable citizens are either our children and young families or senior citizens. And so I just think it's the coolest thing that California state employees have been doing this annual food drive so many years and making such a big difference. All of us who live in Sacramento probably know at least one thing about the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. Yes, the turkey trot, but they do a fabulous job of reaching people and providing those wraparound services to help them. But the network of food banks up and down the state of California is amazing. I was with Secretary Vilsack just a couple of months ago at the new facility that Yolo County has. I have great friends throughout the food bank network. And I would say, I think our food banks are some of the most innovative nonprofits I've seen. They're very efficient, but they're very effective, and they're constantly thinking impact. So thank you. And thank you to everyone in your agencies for being a part of this year's annual State Employee Food Drive. Thank you for letting me have a couple of minutes, Nick. Thank you. And I'm sorry about the bad hair. It was raining outside when I came to work today. But thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Secretary Ross. Thank you, thank you. You're always a champion for the food banks. And it's so great because, you know, for us at state agencies, I think when I tell people, yeah, I work for the state, they're like, huh, cubicle job must be tough. But really, there's so much meaning in the work that we are doing, helping the public. And there's so much meaning that comes from this food drive. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here and helping kick us off today. All right, Rachel, can we move to the next slide, please? And thank you to Rachel, our Farm to School team member, who's also managing like all of this food drive stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you to Rachel too. All right, so here's our outline for the day. We kicked it off with Secretary Ross. We're gonna quickly go through the why we have the food drive, talk through the timeline, ways to help your local food bank, and then how to get credit for your donation, because this is a state employee food drive. We wanna have the stats, figures, and all the benefits that we can to say the impact that we made at the end of this. Then we also have speakers from the California Association of Food Banks and the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services in order to share what these donations will mean and what opportunities to get engaged locally there are. All right, thank you so much. Next slide, please. So why are we here? Last year, state employees donated over $73,000 of food, over 3,000 pounds of produce, over 500 turkeys, more than 200 hours volunteered to food banks throughout the state. If you look at the fine print at the bottom of this slide, that's every single food donation center where food was donated last year. So it's a combination of food banks, food pantries, other local like food closets, every opportunity, wherever you are passionate and want to make a difference, you can donate to that place and use the food drive credit form to receive credit. So we're here to support our local food banks and make an impact for Californians in need. The Association of Food Banks and Becky on the call later will talk to us about hunger statistics in our communities. We need more motivation, but we're really here to donate, to work together, and to support our local food banks. Here's the timeline for us, November 7th through January 6th. And there's a couple anchor projects for us throughout this term. There's our second webinar will be Food Bank Stories. That's December 6th. And that one will be an opportunity for us to invite in some of our food bank partners who are receiving donations to tell the story of what those donations are doing for their communities. So mark that calendar down. The second one is January 20th. That's the deadline to submit your food drive credit form. If you're donating as part of this food drive, we encourage you claim credit. If you're a food drive coordinator that's on the call today, thank you so much. What we want you to do is help promote that deadline so people know when they can donate and receive their credit. And then webinar number 3, that's our final webinar. That's really just our wrap-up call, totals, awards, and thank yous, a time to reflect and a time to share gratitude with each other. That's Friday, January 28th from 12 to 12:30. All of the registration links for these calls, for these big dates, they're on our food drive website. So that's the place to go for all of this information. All right, next slide, please. And then what are the ways that you can support your local food bank? Need has really transitioned since COVID, where every food bank kind of has their different set of infrastructure and needs and requirements at this point of how to most effectively support them. There's always the option to donate food at your local food bank if you coordinate with them in advance. So talk to your food bank and see, are you accepting food donations? When you're donating food, it's awesome, it's calories, you know it's going to a good source, but also the food bank then has to collect that food, sort that food, repackage that food, and then get that food out to the community. So there's 4 steps there. So make sure if you want to donate food that you're coordinating with your food bank to make sure they have the resources to do that. The second option is donating money. And although some of us might feel hesitant to donate money because it goes to things like overhead and expenses, Those are things that are required to manage a nimble nonprofit that's meeting community needs. So we recommend donating money to your local food bank. You can get that receipt, fill out the food drive credit form, and get your credit. You can also volunteer your time at a local food bank. And we have a list on our food drive website that's a PDF that you can click on. And it has a list of all the volunteer opportunities that food banks have submitted to us, where state employees can reach out and get connected to volunteer in person. So if you're a manager on this call or a food drive coordinator and you have staff all throughout the state, there are opportunities throughout California for you to get engaged. The next one on here is donating to fundraising events like Run to Feed the Hungry. So if you're in Sacramento, I live in East Sacramento, and the Run to Feed the Hungry path goes right by my house. It's one of the best parts of Thanksgiving morning for our family. And we always like to donate to Run to Feed the Hungry as a fun way to see our dollars in action. And then the last option on here that we have is to donate turkeys. The Sacramento Food Bank Turkey Drive is coming up this week. So we have Peggy on here to talk about that later as well. Other food banks are also doing turkey drives or specific types of food drives. Those are great ways to get engaged and to do team building together, whether it's volunteering or just donating similar items to a local food bank and coordinating that together. So thank you, all of you for being willing to open your mind to this, being inspired to take action, and being excited about all of that. Okay, next slide, please. I've talked about this before, but our food drive donation form, or our credit form, this is how we know that you donated. All you have to do is go onto our website, go to the state employee food drive credit form, fill it out, and hit submit. It's a lot of if-then scenarios, like, did you donate money to a food bank? Yes. How much? This much. Which food bank? This food bank. Did you donate food? Yes. If yes, how much? When did you donate it? To which food bank? How many pounds? That kind of thing. So it's if-then. Please, if you have any questions as you're filling it out, do your best to guess. And if you have more direct need, you can email your food drive coordinator for extra support. We are going to send out totals every week so that you and your department will know kind of where you stand in the rankings of the agency that has donated the most to our food banks. We're going to calculate that based on donation totals. So our larger agencies should definitely be in the lead on donation totals, but then we're also going to look at it as per person. So we're going to do a little division and divide out donations per person so that our smaller agencies have a chance to be leaders in the food drive as well. All right, and then you can get updates every week in our newsletters. Okay, next slide, please. Now I'm going to hand it to Becky Silva from the California Association of Food Banks. Becky is the Government Relations Director. We're really glad that you're here, Becky, to talk through kind of what it's like on the food bank side of things and how our donations can make an impact. So thank you, Becky, for being here.
Thank you so much, Nick, and hi, everybody. It's good to see you all. Thanks for that introduction. And I just wanted to start off by saying thank you so much to Secretary Ross and the whole team at the Department of Food and Ag for the many years of partnership and support. We're just so grateful for everything your team does on a daily basis to help meet the needs of hungry Californians all across our state, and for supporting CAFB and playing a part in that too. And also just thank you, Nick, for, I know, all the coordination and effort that goes on behind the scenes to coordinate this. So just thank you for all your efforts as well. So just a little bit about the California Association of Food Banks. So we support 41 member food banks throughout California, and our mission is to end hunger. So the food banks in our network really do span across the whole state. They're really diverse geographically, the communities that they serve, and how big or small they are too. Those 41 food banks in turn distributed nearly 1 billion pounds of food last year through their network of 5,500 community partners like food pantries and soup kitchens all across the state as well. Hunger, as you've been hearing, and I'm sure you know, is still at record levels. Right now, about 1 in 5 people are still experiencing food insecurity, with deep disparities for communities of color as well, especially. we are hearing from food banks that most of them are still serving 1.5 times the number of people they were serving pre-pandemic back in 2019. And some food banks are saying that they're serving still 2 or 3 times more people than they were pre-pandemic. So the need is still huge, and food banks really are kind of moving mountains across the state to try to meet that demand and make sure people have access to the food that they need. With the high cost of food and gas, families are turning to food banks at high rates. And those same factors are also impacting food banks themselves. So, you know, as individuals, we experience the high cost of food at grocery stores, but, you know, food banks are dealing with that as well. So the pressure on food banks to meet the increasing need and also meet that need with sort of diminished resources and the increasing cost of food and gas and things like that is a real strain on the food bank network. So that's why we're so grateful that for the state and for this annual state employees food drive, every little bit helps. So volunteering helps to ensure that food banks can get food out the door during the busiest time of year. And monetary donations help food banks secure bulk purchases of costlier items like turkeys and eggs as well during the holiday season. So the food drive couldn't come at a better time. Even before the stark increases in the cost of groceries, food banks were expecting to serve elevated demand for years to come. So all this coupled with the looming end of the public health emergency status that will cause a stark reduction in many families' food benefits through SNAP or CalFresh in California, families and food banks are in need of ongoing support. So just in closing, thank you so much for all of your efforts, for your donations, for your time in volunteering. We really couldn't do this work without the support like this. So just thank you so much for every little bit of support that you're able to provide your local food banks. So I'll stop there and thank you so much.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you. Thank you. The hunger numbers sometimes are surprising for us, I know, if we're not experiencing it directly, but it makes such a big difference to support our food banks. And like Secretary Ross said, like Becky said, it's our communities of color, it's our children, and it's the elderly that are in the need, that have the greatest need. So I always feel grateful by making these donations, knowing that the support is out there through this great network of food banks. So thank you, thank you. And then next, I'm going to introduce Peggy Marshall from the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. If you're local here in Sacramento, I'm sure you know about the SAC Food Bank, but Peggy is here to talk through some upcoming opportunities to get involved and make a difference. So Peggy, take it away. Thanks so much for joining us again this year.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Thanks everybody again for joining. And I hope there's some familiar faces out there of coordinators that have participated in the food drive in the past. I know that CDFA does such a great job in hosting the drive, and all of you are, the boots on the ground in there with the employees and getting everybody involved and excited. So we really appreciate all of your support here in Sacramento. For those of you who are interested in donating to the turkey drive, it is coming up this week, this Thursday, in just a couple of days. It is, as always, located at our Family Services campus in Oak Park. The address is 3333 3rd Avenue, and it is from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. So what most agencies do is they have a small, turkey drive at their location, and then 1 or 2 staff members bring those turkeys over to us in Oak Park. We ask that you do have a turkey drive donation form for the state employees so that we can keep track that day of how many turkeys are coming in from the state employees. I know that now we do the online donation form. So please do that as well. And then Rachel and I are going to be cross-referencing to make sure that we don't miss anybody that has brought in a form or that maybe didn't do the online form. So we will be checking for that as well. But it's a great way for us to know how many turkeys are coming in from the state employees. And we do need the weight of the turkeys on there because you get credit for the pounds of food. So I have had some questions from some agencies. If you would rather put it on a spreadsheet that's fine. You can just attach it to the form so that our staff and volunteers know what to look for. When you come in, there are 4 lanes of traffic for dropping off your turkeys. Our volunteers and staff will assist you in getting everything out of your truck or your car, however you're bringing them. So we used to have a dedicated lane, and now it's any one of the lanes. So it doesn't matter which lane you're going in. If you would rather have employees individually bring their turkeys, that's fine. Hand out those donation forms and they can bring them in as they come. If someone wants to just bring 1 turkey, fantastic. If they're bringing 400, that is also very welcome. These turkeys get distributed to our partner agencies the following week and get out to those in need for Thanksgiving. So it is very appreciated, and we really need the physical turkeys that day to get them into the hands of people to have a wonderful holiday that they may not otherwise be able to. And then the following week, we have our Run to Feed the Hungry. It is the largest Thanksgiving Day run in the country, and it is a huge fundraiser for us. So if you haven't registered for that or are interested in doing so, you can go to runtofeedthehungry.com and sign up, and there's all the information there. It's on Thanksgiving Day. And like Nick said, it goes through the East Sacramento area. There's a 5K run or walk and a 10K option as well. So bring out your families. If you can't get there because you've got to cook Thanksgiving dinner, or you're going to see family out of town, you can always register and get a shirt and just be one of our financial donors as well. So thank you all so much for your time and for your upcoming effort for the food drive, and good luck to everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. Thank you. So everyone, what we're going to do now is screen share our website, just so you can see what it looks like when we're online, when we're talking about where are these things, how can I find them, how can I get engaged. Our Food Drive website really has it all right there for you. So you can see online, if you click donate online today, it'll take, which I have like cars for kids in my head, but how to donate, it'll take you to the list of food banks. So you'll find your food bank and go from there. So that's really easy. And then the rest of our Food Drive website, it's really like there's a 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So you find your local food bank, you donate food, money, or volunteer hours to support them. That's 2. Then 3, you submit your Food Drive credit form, which is linked right there. And then 4, if you want continuous updates from us on the Food Drive, sign up for the newsletter. That's all of it right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, how to participate. So that's the best way to get what you need. Then if you have, if you're like, I want to volunteer, I need some more info. There's food bank events right below that. You said, I'm in Sacramento. I actually want to learn more about the Turkey Drive or Run to Feed the Hungry. We have those links right there. And then to register for those upcoming webinars and Zoom events, we have these links there. At the bottom, there's also additional volunteer opportunities and resources for state employees if any of us are experiencing hunger during this season or in an ongoing need. There's Catholic Charities for donation opportunities and finding a local food pantry site near you. So we're really, really excited for all of this stuff to be happening this year and cannot wait to see how you all get engaged, what inspires you, what excites you, and how we can best help you continue to make a difference. So now we have some time for Q&A. Shirley, thank you so much, kicking off our Q&A. Where to register for the turkey run. So the turkey drive, that's just right there on our website. So you can click the link on our webpage and go from there. And same thing for Run to Feed the Hungry. There's a link to that webpage on the website as well. And Peggy, if you're on here right now and want to add those to the chat, you can definitely add them to the chat too. Yeah, thank you, Shirley, for your question. Anyone else have questions? You can either put it in the chat or raise a hand. And to raise a hand, yeah.
Hi, Nick and Peggy. I think this question is for you. Do you guys accept food besides the turkey overall as a donation?
Yeah, in Sacramento?
Yes.
Yeah, Peggy, where are you guys at with food donations this year?
Yeah, actually, we are not accepting individual food donations at this time. And because of a lot of the reasons that Nick said, there's a lot of resources that go into actually accepting food. And we are able to turn every $1 that is donated financially into 5 meals. So there's a more bang for your buck that way. We do completely understand, though, that some people do like to donate actual physical food. So if you're interested in doing that, you can go to our website, which is sacramentofoodbank.org. And at the top, it says Emergency Response Agencies. And you can click on that and find a list of all of the partner agencies, which are food pantries, congregate meal sites, church kitchens, that kind of thing. And many of them, most of them, are accepting physical food donations. So you can find someone in your immediate local area to donate food to if you're interested in doing that, and then just submit the form for food drive credit. So yes.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. And can you say that statistic again? $1 equals how many meals?
5 meals.
$1 is 5 meals, so that's a great deal. And it gives the flexibility to the organization to really implement things at scale. So thank you, Peggy. All right, and then Lisa, I see you have your hand up too. And if you're just calling in, Lisa, you might have to hit *6 to unmute because you're muted for us right now. Okay, Lisa, while you work on that situation, I'll go back to the chat. There's one question from Shirley. May we donate to one of the hotels that the state is sponsoring where houseless are now living? Many of them do not have cars or are able to get out to obtain food. I think if there's like a food drive center there, or if a food bank is serving any of those locations, then I would say, yes, definitely. But if you're just thinking of like approaching that hotel and dropping off food, I would suggest going through a food vendor or something like that, so that that donation site or that food services provider, like Meals on Wheels, is donating a lot of those options. So I think I would suggest going through a food donation service provider like a food bank or food pantry, rather than just showing up and dropping off. Yeah, thank you. Don't have a question, but there is an issue with Zoom since we use Microsoft Teams normally. Yeah, we normally use Zoom. So right back at you on the Teams side. So we'll send a recording out, and if there's any issues, you'll have the recording and you can watch it through there. You can also email us at cafooddrive@cdfa.ca.gov in order to get any other questions answered. You also have a food drive coordinator at your state agency who is on there, and that food drive coordinator can also answer a lot of your questions. Yeah, okay, and then I see one in the chat from Kimberly. If we donate food, do we fill out the donation form with each drop-off? It's really up to you. You can choose whether to do it with each drop-off, or you can fill out one at the end of the food drive with all of the totals on there. Really personal preference. And then Shirley, must we weigh canned and dry goods? I think you should weigh it just to be sure. And then what we do is we transition that poundage into a dollar amount so that we can, measure like with like and that kind of thing. All right, thank you everyone. So we're at 12:32 right now. So if you were just joining us, you can go. Thank you so much. Thank you. And if you still have questions, we can definitely stay on here and answer a few more questions for people. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. And if you have questions, please keep using the chat, or you can raise your hand again.